Robert, I absolutely loved your Love, Death, and Robots episode, Ice from season two. It's one of my favorite episodes of the whole thing. And I was just so excited to see that you were coming back to do another one for this season. So I'm just kind of wondering, how does it feel to be able to return to this world and to play in the Love, Death, and Robots sandbox again?
Oh man, I'm totally happy about that. I mean, I kind of thought after Ice, maybe from Tim's point of view, that they might want to get some fresh, blood in there and try some different things out. And so I didn't even bother kind of pushing the issue. But, I'm in Vancouver. They had SIGGRAPH here a few years ago, maybe three. And he was here doing kind of a presentation. And so I ended up meeting him and kind of face to face for the first time. And he goes, "Hey, so we got another season of Love, Death, and Robots coming out." I went, "Oh yeah, I know, I heard about it." And he goes, "Do you want to do one?" I went, "Yeah, I do, for sure." So he sent me the script of 400 Boys. But I kind of wonder if he didn't come to Vancouver and we didn't end up getting together, if that was a bit of happenstance or how that would have played out. But that sort of happened and it presented itself, and I was totally more than happy to get involved again.
Sure, sure. I'm glad it did because I love this episode so much. So that's awesome. And as soon as I finished watching 400 Boys this morning, I was like, this rocks. And now I absolutely need to go read the short story that this is based on. Were
Yeah.
you familiar with this short story at all before you like started working on this? Or what kind of stood out to you about that like short story that made you want to be part of adapting like this specific story?
Oh, well, that meeting with Tim that I talked about, he already had like an idea in his head about a story that he wanted to send me. This 400 Boys story has been kicking around the Blur offices probably for the better part of 10 years or more, maybe. I think Tim said he had read this a long time ago. It's quite an old story. So he sent it to me, and to be honest, I like 400 Boys, and I was happy to do that. But if Tim had sent me any script, I would have undertaken that. I would have just taken it on. Every one is a puzzle, and every one of them it's harder than, every one of them is hard in a different way.
Mhm.
But I kind of like the challenge of trying to figure out, there's a few things going on here. There's the season, Netflix, the ultimate clients. There's Tim, the creator, and Blur, and they have their idea about, specifically, what they want. And
Mhm.
then there's me trying to connect the dots and thread the needle in a way that makes everybody happy and still interject kind of a vision or kind of my angle on things. So that's what I really kind of enjoyed with this stuff.
Sure, definitely. That kind of jumps into what I was going to ask you next too, because I was just kind of blown away how much is happening in this story in such a short, like 10, 15 minute runtime. Because you have the animation, you have like this really story, and like there's so much world building that just happens so quick. And like
Hmm.
the actual design of like the titular 400 boys and all the other characters, I was just kind of like eating all of it up. So kind of with all of those things in mind, what were some of like the biggest challenges that you and your team had to like overcome when you were like tackling this?
Well, for us, because we have a small crew, it's not much larger than the crew of people in 400 Boys. But it's we did Zima Blue, which had two characters,
Mhm.
basically, maybe a third one. And then we jumped it up to Ice, and I noticed that the level of complexity and the time it took to do scenes with multiple characters on it was an issue on that one. So we kind of went from like two or three characters up to like six characters. And it's not like we can just bring animators on this stuff because there's a bit of a learning curve and you kind of get used to working with the same people and all this kind of thing. Then
Sure.
he sent me 400 Boys, and what jumped out to me was just the number of characters it would take to pull this thing off.
Mhm.
And you know, I just knew that right from the start. And also like the epic sort of Lord of the Rings style battle sequence, which goes on for the last third of the spot. I knew would also be kind of a difficult undertaking, and it was. This was definitely the most challenging little production that we ever worked on, and we were pretty much running with one wheel in the ditch the whole time. But we pulled out of it. and we got her done, and nobody died, so that was good.
That's good. That's good. I also love how you use John Boyega in here because even like putting his casting aside, like when it started, I'm just like I kind of get like an Attack the Block kind of vibe from this, which he was obviously in and everything. So what kind of made you want to work with John Boyega and made you feel like he'd be a good fit for this character?
Well, I've mentioned this a few times today, but we were never able to successfully cast the voice for Slash. And we started to sort of put together the voices for the rest of the ensemble of characters, but we still, after like 20 or maybe more auditions and even a couple of actual voice records, we cut it into the edit and we looked at it and we thought, man, that's not quite right. Or it even sounded better when we were in the studio. Once you put it on with the characters and in the situations, wasn't quite doing the trick. It was a combination of a guy being in charge, not sounding too old,
Sure.
and needed an English accent. So that kind of reduced our pool of talent down quite a bit. So finally, at some point, I think the casting director was a friend of John Boyega. So he came in and we were happy to have him, and he total pro, totally nailed it, gave us the performance we wanted, and that was the last voice that we needed, and we were able to start animating.